So moving on to midfield. So in this, I'll include Dak in this one, but in midfield, of course, we got James Vaughn, Melvin, Pierre Luis, Andrew Richmond, Jonathan Canagua, Chandler Dwyer, James. I don't think James Suko is still here. Neil Sefrit, Hayden Anderson, Matt Boduk, and they have Bill Hart. This is from Transfer Mark. They have Bill Hart listed as an attacking midfielder. I would say he's more of a forward, so I'll move him to the forward spot. But those are our midfielders. What are your guys' thoughts on the midfield unit as a whole?
I don't know. I guess they all of the positions feel like a mix of highs and lows. Like you've got some players who you'd hope you can hang your hat on, and then the drop off feels pretty steep. I think obviously we're very much relying on our new German for creativity, but then when we actually saw him play, just based on his pedigree, the types of, the experience he has, but then he kind of looked like he was more of a box to box midfielder when we actually saw him.
That's the key thing. I think it is. I think besides name alone, I think a lot of people, when we saw him, we thought like, oh, he's the Neil replacement.
Yeah.
And the way how talking to Darren and talking to Mika, he's more so of like the Ethan replacement we were supposed to have. Like, he's the guy who gets the ball and gives it to the creative player so that they can. He's the assist to the assist guy.
Yeah. So it's just difficult. I said it last season. I think at this league, it's giving up a player, and that's the phrasing I'm going to use. It was the fumbling of a player like Neil Vignals, which is we didn't win or we didn't earn a result without him on the score sheet, either in a goal or assist last season. I don't see where that replacement is in this group. I think, we've got some pacey wingers, which is great. We've needed a player who maybe can take their player on the wing. That's great. But when you look at the middle of the park, like I don't know, maybe Darren has a plan, but also in the preseason, goals were not coming in left and right. We saw some really wonderful solo efforts from Landon Johnson, from Emi Trozagi. Like, so it's just difficult because Neil's creativity bailed us out a lot last season, and without a player coming in, there isn't a lot of creativity in this group. And so we have to hope that the setup is not reliant on creativity, but when you don't have a player who can make something happen on their own, I guess our forwards are going to have to do that. They're an experienced bunch, but yeah, I don't know. There's some good players, but I think I'm struggling to see how the pieces fit together.
And with all that, what's your grade?
C+.
C+. Okay.
Even worse than the defender. Sorry.
All right, Matt. What about you, my man?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what Kate said, has merit, to it. I think this is a group that industry is going to be, the big word here, but I think the success of it's going to go as far as Neil Soyford takes them, because I mean, let's look at probably some of our top guys in there are Barnathan, right? He's borderline midfielder, more of a defender than anything else. You got Chandler, right? If he's not heading the ball,
we're tapping it in from 6 yards out.
Right. We've seen him for a few years. He's a hustle, sort of guy. He's not a flair player. You got Vaughn, who is, even more of, just, kind of a, destroyer, brute type, in the midfield. Those are probably the three more experienced ones. I guess you might see, Canagua in there, but from everything I understand is he's a defender by trade for the most part, as well. So I think this group's going to be a lot of muck, the game up, make sure that, teams aren't able to play pretty against us, and rely on Maxine Simon getting up the wings, providing, different service, getting connected with, the wing players that way. And hopefully Niels is able to help facilitate, all of that. So unless the plan is to actually, drop Bill Hart back into more of, the classic midfield spot, I, I don't see where, the possession, I don't see where the style, the pretty style, is coming from. Like the style is going to be there. The style is going to be industry, wreck some fools in the midfield and make it miserable to play against us.
Yeah.
Right.
So if it goes
Again,
well,
our
I think
wingers,
it could be a B plus quality, of a wrecking ball midfield. But if we need anything out of them, offensively, I think that's like C minus level.
All right. So what you giving me, Matt? Are we going C plus?
What's the difference? You said B plus versus C plus. So was that a B minus and a
And I
half?
said B plus. If things are in a good place, C minus. If we're having to actually create some, what is it? Plus, like C plus, sure.
C plus. All right. So maybe I'm a little bit more positive on the midfield. Not so much. I do agree with you, Matt. I think it's a midfield that is built out of like bruisers and like hard workers. I don't see the creativeness in it. Now if you add Bill Hart to the midfield, then yeah, I think that's creative, G. But just having one creator, I think is tough. I think the biggest issue for me last year is like this team just struggled defensively. So I'm cool with having like those bruisers and those guys that are like hard workers and not just getting like dragged across the field. Because Kate, what was your famous line about last year about the team? Like these players are great technically, but they're just tiny. Just getting beat up. So maybe so. Like adding some girth to the midfield might help. I'm excited to see what Yeah, I'm excited to see what Nils and Haiti can add to this team. So I mean, I'll give them a B minus. I think, Matt, to your point, like if we're asking them to be like the main creative force in this team, it's going to be tough. Just being honest with you, but like if we're asking them to intercept the ball, clog up, chances in the middle, stuff like that, like asking them to do with they're probably great at doing. But yeah, I think it'll be a successful midfield. So I'll give them a B minus. Like I think like Darren